Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and we're joined by our ace reporter, Marc Z, with a Marc Z Moment. Welcome once again, Marc. I feel like
Thanks, Sean.
I feel like I shouldn't welcome you. You're here.
Thank you. I'm always on the couch, whether you see me or not.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show and a segment. And I
Thank
know
you.
you always bring us timely and topical things from the world of employment. And what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I thought we'd talk about what's going on in the government layoffs right now. There's some very talented people who unfortunately are being laid off, whether it's mid-level managers, whether it's attorneys, whether it's accountants. And there's always been a fallacy in some sectors. Well, if it's a government worker, maybe that person would not fit in well in the private sector. And what I wanted to say as this is happening, we've interviewed many candidates, and we have some candidates pending and opportunities where you have some very talented people who are dedicated to government service, who are now, given the climate with them being laid off or being threatened to be laid off, could be a talented addition to a particular business or profession.
It's interesting not to get too deeply into the process, because I think it is opaque in terms of what's going on. But it seems as though it's, look at a department, there's 25 people, cut them. Let's not figure if they're high performers, intelligent people, or capable. It's that notion of, if they're to your point, the stereotype, if they're government workers, they must be lazy and no good at what they do. But so I think you're coming to us with an opportunity for businesses. And I think one of the things that I'm hearing also is, don't use your preconceived notions or stereotypes to make hiring decisions, because you may be missing or passing over, as the saying is, some good possibilities and candidates.
There are many talented people who made a conscious choice to join the government, in terms of the U.S. government, in different positions, because they wanted to give back, or the government has a program of forgiving student loans that not only they want to give back, but they want to be part of that program, or they were in private service that they wanted to then be part of the system, whether it's joining the Justice Department or joining other important labor departments, other important government agencies, to contribute. And their talents and their experience are invaluable to many employers. And so what I wanted our listeners, particularly many businesses and firms, to really look at these candidates very seriously, because they're very impressive, many of them.
Not only that, but it's interesting because I would imagine a lot of, perhaps in the legal realm, a lot of these people may be dealing with government agencies, et cetera, and they have what we would call inside information, how to deal with these issues. So they've got experience not only from the outside, but from the inside, so they can be invaluable in terms of perhaps moving matters along and dealing with, whether it be agencies or other types of aspects. Marc, since you're on the ground and you're talking to you're talking to employers and prospective employees as well, what are you hearing from employers when you make that suggestion? Oh, I've got a candidate who's been in a government agency. Is the first reaction, I don't want somebody? I mean, are you getting pushback, or are you getting people who are saying, oh, that's an interesting approach? What are you hearing? A little bit of everything.
Well, first of all, we're always focused on experience and what the candidate brings to the employer. So we're totally focused on what the person's skill set is, what they've accomplished. If, for example, they have an employment background, that have been on the other side in terms of regulatory issues or compliance issues, we'll stress that. In terms of leading with being part of the government, or whether it's private industry or in the public sector, we really don't do that, because we don't feel, particularly after meeting the candidates, that that's something that should be addressed. What I'm saying is, when employers meet candidates, or candidates directly through a recruiting firm like ours, or through applications, they should immediately look at many of these candidates, because they bring a lot of skills and background to that. Now, if they have any preconceived notions, that's all on them, and they're going to lose the opportunity to meet really skilled and qualified candidates. You have candidates today that, again, have given public service over private sector service, but are very, very talented. And this is the time to pick up talent, because when things change again, and they will, you'll lose that opportunity. So we never, on our end, we're totally focused on the experience and the skill set.
Mark, do you find that it's across the board in terms of career stages, in terms of the candidates that you're seeing, or is there, one particular subset? Are they more seasoned, experienced people, or are they younger people, or is it just it's across the board? It's everything.
I would say it's across the board, but particularly on the junior end and on the senior end, that's what's happening. And it's too bad because, again, there's some very talented people and who have some experience. And some people, given this climate, if we hadn't had this climate that we're at right now, I would have never met, or my team would never have met, because they're so talented. So, but then you have some junior candidates who went into government service. For example, we just worked with somebody who had been at the Justice Department. They gained some invaluable experience, and it's a shame that they didn't have a chance to progress, because some of the people that they not only achieved academically and gained some really relevant experience, but you could see they were on their way to have a big track in terms of their career at the agency or at the department.
Now, Mark, I know your firm has a broad footprint, a national and international footprint, if you will, in terms of both for employers as well as for candidates. But, I think we often lose sight. You hear federal worker, and I think people's minds go to DC and the DC metro area. But, almost every major city and minor city in the country have significant federal operations. And so
Correct.
those candidates are really everywhere.
Correct. No, when we're talking about candidates working who are U.S. attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys under the department of the U.S. attorney of a particular state, or anybody who's a paralegal in that department, it definitely is in a particular state as well as DC itself. So you have some very talented federal workers that are right in your particular state or jurisdiction. Absolutely.
So if, as always, I'll turn it to you and say, if people want to learn more, if people are looking for some prospective talented employees, want to talk to you about your services and how you might be able to help them, as you said, I think there's a lot of business today that's sort of sitting idly and waiting to see how things shake out. It may be a long time till we see how things shake out, because I think we're in for a time of the buckle up, because the roller coaster has only just begun, and talk with you about it. What's the best way for people to reach out, to engage with? Tell us how to reach you.
Thanks, John. Well, first of all, go on our wonderful Radio Entrepreneurs website, radioentrepreneurs.com. Google Marc Z, M-A-R-C and the letter Z, Marc Z Legal, MarcZLegal.com, and 617-338-1300.
Fantastic. This has been a Marc Z Moment with Marc Rutchkin. I really appreciate your time as always. Marc Z Legal
Thanks,
Staffing.
John.
It's always a pleasure to be with you on Radio Entrepreneurs, and we'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.